All right, what is going on, you guys? Brian here with my recap of night number 1 for WrestleMania 36. It has come to a close, so let's just get right into it. I'm just going to run through everything that went down in just a quick recap. We had a kickoff show match, which was Cesaro defeating Drew Gulak. Then on the main show, we saw, I don't know if you would say 3 title changes, but the first one was Alexa Bliss and Nikki Cross defeating the Kabuki Warriors to become the WWE Women's Tag Team Champions. The matchup I thought was decent. We had Elias over King Corbin. Um, the third match of the main show was Becky Lynch successfully defending her Raw Women's Championship against Shayna Baszler. In my opinion, I thought that Baszler was going to win, but the matchup was okay. Sami Zayn is still the Intercontinental Champion. He successfully defended against Daniel Bryan. John Morrison retained the SmackDown Tag Team Championships. It was a triple threat match, so according to the rumor of the match card was not one of the Usos versus John Morrison. It was a triple threat, Kofi Kingston versus Jimmy Uso versus John Morrison. All three men representing their 3 separate teams. Of course, Kofi representing the New Day, Jimmy Uso representing the Usos, and John Morrison representing the defending champions himself and The Miz. John Morrison, like I said, retained the SmackDown tag titles. Came at an interesting finish, though, because all 3 guys had pulled the carabiner that was holding the championships up top. All 3 of them pulled it down, but Morrison, after getting 2 headbutts from Kofi and Jimmy, wound up unhooking the tag titles and thus retained the championships. Kevin Owens defeated Seth Rollins in what would become a no disqualification match. After Seth got disqualified, Owens was like, you want that to be your WrestleMania, being a god and everything. Let's do this. No rules, no disqualification. Rollins got back in the ring, accepted, and Kevin Owens was able to hit the stunner on Seth Rollins after a lengthy battle, which included Owens diving off of the WrestleMania set and a WrestleMania sign and through delivering a senton through Seth Rollins through an announce table, and thus picking up the win after that, throwing him in the ring and delivering the stunner. R-Truth lost the 24/7 championship. Mojo Rawley and Rob Gronkowski, the host of WrestleMania, they were up on that platform. They were up on a platform, and R-Truth was hiding from everybody. He was saying he wanted to just hide, if they could hide him. Then Rob would hit or would push R-Truth down and try to go for the pin to win the 24/7 championship, but Mojo pulled him off and then went for the pin himself and became the 24/7 champion. Then in a 2-minute match that featured 4 spears and 4 running power slams, we have a new Universal Champion in Braun Strowman. The match started. Goldberg hit 4 spears, then was going to go for the jackhammer, but then Strowman powered out and delivered a running power slam that picked Goldberg up and hit another one, and then finally the running power slam, and that was enough to keep Goldberg down and make Braun Strowman the new Universal Champion. which of course leads us to the Boneyard match, which was a very interesting match indeed. It happened in a cemetery. However, they can't call it a graveyard or a cemetery because of what's been going on as far as this whole coronavirus pandemic taking people's lives and everything, and all that stuff and everything that's been going on. The Undertaker came in, drove into the cemetery on his motorcycle, showing a hint of the biker Undertaker from way back in the day. Styles arrived. There was a hearse that pulled up at the beginning, and then two druids got out and pulled the casket out of the back of the hearse. Here we're thinking it's the Undertaker, but when they lifted up the lid, it was AJ in the casket. Then the fight was on. It would end up on top of a roof of a building, and Gallows and Anderson would get involved, and they would get beat down. Gallows would get tossed off the roof. Anderson would receive a tombstone. Styles would get choke slammed off of the roof to the ground below. Then Taker grabbed AJ, brought him to an open grave, and then was like, "Oh, don't worry, I'm not going to bury you. Don't worry, you gave me a fight, and I appreciate that, I respect that." And then was going to walk away, but then turned around, gave AJ a big boot, and AJ went into the grave, and then Taker would get on a bit of a like what is it a truck, like one of those backhoe trucks, and he would proceed to pour dirt onto AJ, burying him in the grave. So that was pretty much it. The lasting image was The Undertaker driving out of the cemetery on his motorcycle, and that was pretty much it. So for night number one. So all in all, I mean, night number one, I mean, I did watch it, but I mean, it was okay for my taste. It was okay, in my opinion. It wasn't great. Uh, So, I mean, the only match I think I was disappointed with because of how short it was the Strowman Goldberg match. I thought that Goldberg would have went over since they had built so much for Roman Reigns and Goldberg, but then Strowman replacing Reigns, and I was like, okay, Goldberg is probably going to win. But a big congratulations to Braun Strowman on becoming Universal Champion. That was the only disappointing match, in my opinion. So, with that being said, yeah, like I said, it was okay. It was not what I was expecting as far as the Boneyard match is concerned. Now our attention turns to night number two, where Edge and Randy Orton face in a last man standing match. John Cena and The Fiend in a Funhouse match. Brock Lesnar, Drew McIntyre, WWE Championship. Rhea Ripley, Charlotte Flair, NXT Women's Championship. Uh, and a whole bunch more happening tomorrow. Um, as far as the kickoff show for tomorrow, they announced that for on tonight's kickoff show was going to be Drew Gulak versus Cesaro. And then tomorrow night on the kickoff show will be Natalya versus Liv Morgan. And I'm going to give my prediction for that one. I think Natalya will win that one. So, yeah, pretty much this has been my recap of what went down on night number one of WrestleMania 36. It'll be interesting to see what happens tomorrow night for night number two. So, this is, like I said, this has been my WrestleMania 36 night number one recap. As always, I am Brian, and thank you for watching.